Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tlotlo from Masanoa Fan Vlog. As you can see,
As you can see.
I've got a very special guest with me today, Coach Rulani, fresh of winning the DSTV Premiership, the MTN 8, and that run he made got us back.
I'm still recovering.
The big cup final and coach of the season, along with Coach Mango, of course.
Yeah.
Coach, welcome to the channel. Not your first time on the channel, but proper sit down. Welcome.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's great to be here. As I said off air, I think we need more of such shows, Tlotlo, because I think we spend too much time in South African football speaking about the things around the game and not necessarily the game itself. So when you guys invited me, I was humbled and really it's a privilege to be here.
No, thank you, Coach. Thank you for honoring the invitation. This was supposed to happen last year during your first season as the head coach of Sundowns, but COVID and other issues. But I'm glad we could sit down today. Coach, domestic clean sweep. I'm diving straight into it.
Yeah.
How fulfilling was that moment when Thapelo scored the goal, got us back, and you knew it was done?
Look, I think because of the manner in which the season panned out, and particularly towards the end, where I don't think our second round of the season was as good as our first round, and not necessarily only in relation to performances, but I think also in relation to results and performances. Because a club like Mamelodi Sundowns, you can't sell only results. It's too cheap of a price to sell to the people that support this club. And in particular also it's too cheap for a price for the people that run this club and invest so much of their resources into making sure that we are one of the best on the African continent. So therefore the culture, the history of this club speaks about Shushain and Piano, speaks about the Samba Boys, the Brazilians. And therefore that already moves you into a direction where if I don't, as an ordinary Sundown supporter, if I don't go to the stadium, I'm not really concerned about the performance, because I know how Sundowns would have played, or I should, and that should be the status quo for big clubs. And then you ask about the result, but your mind should already have a picture of how you expect the team to have performed, with build-up schemes and high pressing and counter-pressing, extremely high-octane game. But we struggled a little bit also with regards to injuries and a couple of other things where we had even trying to balance the Champions League schedule, where we are playing games of consequence on one hand, and yet more or less in the league the title has already been decided, and therefore to get some form of competitive mentality.
True, because you can't fool the mind.
You can't fool the mind. The mind knows that, and as much as we fight that, and for sure, as long as we are still at Mamelodi Sundowns, we have no dead rubber matches. You guys can 100% be guaranteed that we will never play a game and the players will go onto the pitch and expect, and this is an agreement we have, where even they know that I say to them, the day we come as a technical staff and we don't give you information, we haven't watched 3 or 4 games of the opposition, regardless of how tight the schedule is, and we don't give you pointers, and we are laid back, and we don't plan training, we don't analyze training, we don't prepare for the opposition and give the best that we can. The day we do that, the players have the right to then go onto the pitch and be lax and lack commitment and lack intensity. So I can tell you that there is no game that us as coaches will go into and we haven't watched the opposition and prepared. There's no chance for that. But the reality is now you have to go into a space where you are playing games of consequence on one hand, and yet you are also rotating the squad a lot more to keep the players fresh for Champions League. And there you've also got byproducts of losing cohesion and rhythm of a particular group, you know, and it's not excuses, but because now at the end we've won the trophies, and as part of our reflection, you know, you pick up some of these things. So the way the season actually ended up, and to be honest, you get the feeling that without the Nedbank Cup final, it doesn't have the same sort of feeling.
I understand.
Without the Nedbank Cup final, you get that feeling that if we don't win the Nedbank Cup final, I'm not so sure how many people will still consider Sundowns' season a success, even though there was 2 trophies with a huge number of points difference between number 1, number 2, and the rest of the chasing pack, and having won an MTN 8 trophy that has eluded the club for many years. I think the feeling that we all got at the end of the Champions League when we got knocked out by Pedro, had we not picked up the Nedbank Cup final, I don't think we would have had a feeling of saying it was a good season.
It was winning every trophy on offer by the Champions League was a good success. I want to touch on the MTN 8 a bit, Coach, if you don't mind. As a technical team, did you, and players of course, did you go into the season thinking we must put this in the back, like we must put this run of Sundowns getting knocked out in the semi-final or losing in the final or earlier in the yes, the league, it's a prerequisite, if I may say so. The MTN 8 is a cup competition, anything can happen, but did you guys put in, I'm not going to say extra effort, but did you put in emphasis on we have to at least get to the final of this cup competition?
No, because we are not obsessed by things. Process. But there is also a responsibility. And part to being at Mamelodi Sundowns is accepting the responsibility that you have to win every single match.
Okay.
That includes winning training session matches, that includes winning friendly matches, that includes winning a training session the day you have to win, because it's an accumulation of the process, as you say. And to then be fixated on the results means then you let go of the minute details that may assist you in making sure that you get into a space where you are manipulating more the process around the result of building the team to be strong enough to be able to perform every single day or every single match the same way, because you have a clear understanding that if you play the way you play and to the best and with all the qualities that you should have around your game, the aggression, the maximum concentration, the intensity that you need, and then you add the technical, tactical components within your schemes. If you play that way, then you know you've got 90% chance of winning the game.
No, that's true.
And I said something which sometimes I say things and I'm like, and I don't even understand how they are, but I said something in Uganda to KCC, and I said something that they then reminded me of, and I'm like, did I say that? But that's the reality. I said talented people don't leave the outcome to luck. They leave it to preparation. Because when you are talented, if I'm more talented than you in a boxing match, I'm going to have to hammer you as hard as I possibly can to beat you. Because if I start waltzing around and ducking and diving, there's going to be a punch that I'm not going to be quick enough to duck, because I've left it to chance. Yeah. Do you see what I mean?
But so if you've prepared,
I've watched your clips, I've seen your techniques. I know which times of the boxing match you get tired. Is it round 2? Is it round 3? How many consecutive punches can you throw? You can throw 3, 4, 5, and then you're on the guard. So I know that I maybe allow you to throw 3, 4, 5, and I'm blocking, but I'm moving you. And after the fifth one, I know you're tired. Then I go. So I leave things to preparation. But if I have a go at you from the start, and when I know you are very intensive at the beginning, and I have a go at you, boom, 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 and you blocking, and conserving energy, the moment you let go, because I'm not prepared,
no, makes sense.
I'm finished. I'm knocked out.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Talking about intensity, coach, it looked like from the outside, it looked like you guys wanted to win the league. Moving on from the MTN 8, you guys wanted to win the league within the first half of the season. It looked like we were going into every game winning. Is it something that you prepared, like, not rep in terms of points, but let's get as far ahead as possible in the first half of the season, because in 2022 there'll be Champions League, Nedbank Cup, League. There'll be like the schedule will be crazy. So was it a thought in your mind to wrap up the league as quick as possible?
I'd love to sound smart and for us to look like football gurus, but the reality is, and again, as I always say, the game belongs to the players.
You always say that, yeah.
The game belongs to the players. So the success of the team with the results and the performances in the earlier parts of the season is down to the work and the commitment of the players. But of course, the support that we give, thank you, gives us these possibilities to be able to put the team in that type of position. But as I said to you at the beginning, the reality is we always play every single match to win. And that's the mentality.
Even you say you go into every training session to win.
Yeah. They know that's the talk before it's gonna start again now very soon. Every day the talk is we have to train well, because the way you train is the way you play, and we make sure that training is even harder than the games. And sometimes I know with the players it's frustrating, but you see the outcomes on the pitch, because we manipulate the sessions with the rules, with sizes of the pitch, numbers, overloads, underloads, different shape balls. We have rugby balls sometimes in the training, tennis balls.
I heard about the tennis balls.
We have tennis balls, and we play a small-sided game with and the players. When I get my rugby balls and the tennis balls and the soft water polo balls and the indoor soccer, the players, and sometimes they kick my balls away, but we have Moskapi and Botato to bring them back quickly, but everything has a thought process behind. There's irregular shape, size drills where you cut off completely the one side, and the other side, half of it is a half of an octagon shape, where you've closed the wide channels, and so that there's diagonality, and that diagonality helps you with the verticality on arriving. And then already you're starting to not just work on key technical, tactical elements that you want to observe in a game, but you are also moving into a space where you are training concentration, because the more difficult the thing is, the more intense the levels of concentration are for the players. And that's why you find even this season, although of course when you have football players, you've got to accept that there is a space for human involvement. Mm-hmm. And when this human involvement means you've got to leave space for error. But we haven't made a lot of individual errors this season or the past season, and that maybe is also down to the work and the intense training sessions that we have.
No, that's good, coach. That's good to hear. I want to talk about more. I'm gonna give you the flash, just a tactics table.
No. We should have had one here.
I'm gonna use Liverpool and Man City because probably the two best teams in the world right now.
For sure, I agree.
As we know, Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp, whether I don't know how they will line up on the day, but I know it's a 4-3-3. Where the players are, it's up to where the game.
Well, it depends.
Yes, but most of the time, if I'm correct, it's a 4-3-3, right?
Well, it depends because Liverpool out of possession can easily be a 4-4-2. And depending whether Firmino or Jota plays, and if Firmino plays, then Firmino's role is to drop into midfield and sit maybe on the 6, And then you had Mane and Salah pressing the centre backs. And then, of course, when you have the two and you have a diamond shape in the midfield, which is a trend that's happening a lot now in football. And they press from the top in a 4-4-2. Man City are also a 4-4-2 team now. But because of the fluidity of the game, the formation is not so much the most important thing, as you say.
I was getting that, coach.
Yeah. No, but you
Before you
put
give
it
me
right.
an indication, so I'd say a 4-3-3.
Yeah.
This season, the previous season, Sundowns lined up in. You'll tell me more. I can say in a 4-4-2.
Yeah.
In a 4-3-3.
Yeah.
And in a 3-5. I know there's a Royal AM game. We used to play 3 centre backs.
Yeah.
Come Loftus.
Yeah.
Am I correct in?
Yes.
3 centre back. So
Yes.
those are the 3.
And it didn't work so well.
You changed it at half time, right?
Yeah. We had to because we also as coaches have to help the players to be comfortable on the pitch, and we felt that they were not comfortable on the pitch with that formation, and not necessarily with the formation, but with the movements related to the structure.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
And the movements can't be movements that are not cohesive and telepathic, because my movement is for you. My movement is not for me. My movement is for you, and your movement is for me, or Neo, or Kent's. Do you know what I mean? So the back three gave us a couple of challenges because we couldn't get interrelational movements.
Meaning?
That we wanted possibilities to have the wide center halves giving double wide, for an example, which is a principle that we have generally within our. So I'm going to break it down. So we don't have a game model. We have what we call a tactical culture. And that tactical culture is based on certain principles. And we have certain principles. But those principles have sub-principles. And under each sub-principle, there's a sub-principle. Let me make an example. The principle is for a goal kick of the opponent, we press from the top. There are teams that will not initiate a first station pass, which means it's a pass from goalkeeper to centre back, or goalkeeper to a 6. We call it a first station pass. It's a predictable pass. It's a pass that we can set our pressing from. Because that's the first station pass. It's the pass that invites the next action for the press. So that's the principle. But if the opposition doesn't play a first station pass, then you've got to manipulate the sub-principle and then the sub-principle. If the opposition has 2 right-footed center halves, you've then got to, the sub-principle has the detail of how you go and press as a group. But then that also then says the sub-principle goes to more of not the group but the individuals. So you would press slightly differently if Peter is playing as a 9, or if Peter is playing on the left or on the right wing. I don't know if you get me.
I get you.
So
I want to ask you a question relating to that.
Yeah.
The semi-final goal Safranco scored, was it a trap?
Oh,
or
yeah.
The winning goal for the.
Those goals, I mean, I don't know how many, you've probably seen a lot of those goals.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you about Al Hilal, for an example, in Rustenburg. That goal we scored, Shishi scored, I think. It's a pressing trap. You've seen these goals so many times. So this is why I was saying even earlier that the players know, Hore, we don't come to training and then we scratch our heads. What are we doing today? No. And the more time we have, that's when we start building to get to the principles. So we will say, all right, there's 2 center backs. The left footer is comfortable on the ball. The right footer is not comfortable on the ball. So where do we want the first station pass to go? And we make the play more predictable for us, because that's the best teams in the world, or the best defensive teams in the world, are teams that defend with 2 very important conditions. One, they make the opposition's offensive play predictable, because that allows them to set up schemes, pressing situations, because it's easier to try to create a chance if you try to win. And of course, there's different schools of thinking, but our idea is that it's easier to create goal scoring chances when you win balls closer to where you are scoring. And the second condition is they try to make the pitch as small as possible, because to try to defend the entire pitch is not possible. There are areas in the pitch during a match that sometimes you've got to allow yourself to be exposed with. For an example, and Liverpool is also, and this is a very good talk that you're talking about, because Liverpool are also a case in point, and you saw this, and even Man City, in fact, because I think the big teams have that responsibility of trying to make sure that they play closer to the opposition goal. And one thing that killed us against Stellenbosch, which was exactly that, the space that we gave, because you can't defend the whole pitch. So when you press from the top, there is no way where you can have a high press without a high line. So you're trying very much to say, okay, let's compress and try to defend in a small space and have compactness and initiate the high press, which is a principle. But my goodness, if they decide then to go behind you, and then they've got possibilities to manipulate with the individual qualities of the players, then you are in trouble.
Yeah, the speed.
And then there are other mitigating factors that come as possibilities for solutions, which is what we also try to do. But sometimes these things are not possible, and the game itself tells you that this is football, because you know that when the ball is not covered, then our defensive line knows that instinctively the first thing is to break the press. Break the press and control the space behind, because you'd rather have them playing in front, and then you can delay and give people possibilities to recover and regroup, and then either recover to press or recover to get behind the ball, to be able to find possibilities of the right time to be able to force the opposition, whether outside or inside, or to a player that you've targeted as the pressing trap, and then try to steal the ball.
So, Coach, does all of this happen? Is it possible to happen during the season, or it's something that you need pre-season? Is that what pre-season is for?
That's what pre-season is for.
To work on all of these things.
Pre-season is football has moved away from pre-season being about aerobic, and you are just running, working only on the motor qualities. Pre-season is so important now, because one, you're moving into a space where periodization, and maybe even tactical periodization more in that sense, is saying you're accumulating your conditioning as you go with your season. And hopefully you finish a lot stronger, which you could see with us, apart from a couple of muscular injuries, which we are also trying to find out as to why we had so many problems. And there are logical explanations, because when you change from a training regime that was a certain way and had certain principles to a different training regime, and you incorporate different elements like we did last season, where we incorporated a lot of strength work and functional strength work that was in relation to the football qualities that we need in the way we want to play. That then says already, in terms of the adaptation process of the body, there is going to be some form of complications. So you're already thinking, and apart from just trying to find even deeper solutions, but the reality is some of the things are right in front of you, you know. But pre-season now has moved into that space where you need time. You need time on the pitch with the players to incorporate principles. Right, in possession, these are the principles. Where's the ball? The ball is on with the goalkeeper. And we talk a lot about boxes in the team. The boxes, and what do we do? The ball is in the first half of the first third of the pitch. So are we building up? No, because the line of the first line of confrontation of the opposition is withdrawn. So maybe your build-up space is not there, but it's with your midfielders, because the first line of press is by the midfield. So then what are the principles? That then means your midfielders have to go behind the first line of the press, and your build-up line is then a little bit higher. that then says, where's your goalkeeper? So all these pictures you've got to continuously paint, because not all the teams that we play the same way.
That's true.
Do you know what I mean? But we do have an overall thinking of what to expect from teams based on the previous season. So for an example, this season you saw a lot of teams also playing with a single pivot from last season's Sundowns structure, where we had a single pivot with River. Now a lot of the teams, when we started the season, this season, had that single pivot with 2 8s and with a 1 striker and wingers. But you slowly saw that changing as we went in, and teams started playing with 2 strikers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pirates started doing that, and Chiefs a little bit in some of the games started doing that with Stuart. Stellies in certain games, Royal AM started doing and putting 2 strikers and 2 big boys up front, where they would have Letswalo and Matupu on top, right on top, you know. So the team started doing a lot of the things, and that's where football should be, in fact. You know what I mean? Because football should be that the big teams in the football nations, Real Madrid in Spain, Barca in Spain, PSV, Ajax, Feyenoord in Holland, these are the ones that drive the nation's identity.
We saw that with Barca in Spain,
100%.
Bayern Munich in Germany.
100%.
Yeah, we saw that. Coach, is there anything such as information overload? Because I'm thinking right now, we spoke about preseason and trying to do different.
It's a good
stuff,
question.
Different stuff, different tactics, different schemes of play, and like you said, you don't stick to one thing. This season, you will probably change to a single pivot again. Who knows?
I don't know.
Like, for example, so is there such a thing as information overload, where the players can process all of these things? I know they're smart boys, but
in the previous club, I think, in where I was previously, I think I started to believe that. I started really to believe that there is a thing called information overload. But it's very strange, because when I look back at the amount of information we've given to the Sundowns players this season, and I would say maybe it's about gauging the capacity. Because for a 1 liter bottle, 2 liters amount of water is a lot.
it's a lot.
But for a 2 liter bottle,
2 liters is fine.
2 liters is fine.
Okay. All right. No, I understand.
Okay.
Coach, I want to talk about the most frustrating part of the season, the Champions League.
Yeah.
We started so well
Yeah.
in the group stages. Even go Pedro in the first leg, we didn't play the worst game, but we lost 2-1. It was still manageable. Like, what are your feelings and your thoughts towards the campaign?
Yeah. It's a difficult one to put into words, man, because the first part of whatever you want to try to say about Champions League is that whatever comes out should not sound like excuses. And also, you have to also take responsibility. And when I say you have to, I mean as a collective, as a group within our technical team, because of course we have that type of leadership structure. But the reality is, we should have, it's a tie we should have won. And with all due respect to Petro, but if you look at the first half performance, of course, away from home in the first half, we made a big tactical error with not pressing with 3. It sounds like a small detail, but that's where football is. It's minute details.
Yeah.
There's a big difference in pressing a team that orientates its build-up structure with a 3+1, and then you press with 2, or you press with 1, in fact. But second half, we played a lot better, and I think we deserved a little bit more than what we got. It's a pity, because And then also, also with Champions League, the two things I think you need to win Champions League, one is consistency, and then you need a little bit of luck.
Yes.
An inconsistent performance in the Champions League, particularly away from home, will not get you very, very far. And so you need a lot of consistency, but you also need elements of luck. And that goal that we scored with Neo changes the complete picture. But okay, as a lack of luck would have it, then that goal is ruled out because of VAR. And then you come home and you try to reverse a fixture, or you also, when you start looking at how the last 3 seasons we've been knocked out of Champions League, you're getting the same picture. Finish on top of the group, the finals, lose away from home for the last 3 years, and draw the second leg, because you are playing under pressure to fix the result of the first leg. So maybe the takeout is to make sure that you are not chasing the result in the second leg, maybe. But there's a lot of other lessons to be learned, and maybe also to be a little bit more courageous and to be a little bit more bold in terms of trying to win, maybe even away from home, and trying to put in a performance that allows the second leg to be played in your favor.
Okay. And I can hear and sense from your tone and that it hurts you, not just personally you, but the whole team, the way we went out of the circumstances, how we like it. I don't want to. I don't like to put pressure on a cup competition or we should win or win over 30 games.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm saying Sundowns has better quality on and off the pitch.
Yeah, for sure.
Normally we should. Champions League is a cup competition.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's
Yeah.
cup. Like you say, we don't want to make excuses, but it's a cup competition.
No, it is, and I'm a very bad loser. But I also know that in the change room at Sundowns, there's even worse losers than me. So I can sometimes only imagine how others are feeling when I feel the way I feel about this Champions League. I mean, we can table it as a failure, because anything less than winning every game, and because that's the goal that we set out. And again, we go into this season, and the pressure on us is we try to win every single match. Yeah. And so when you don't win every single match, and therefore you don't win the Champions League, the prognosis for sure is it's a failure. But why is it a failure? Then you've got to get into the diagnosis and try to find, why did this person's heart stop? Why did it stop beating? Was it the food that he was eating? And then you can try to find some form of, and possibly you get some form of genetic link that could help the sons and the daughters and the next generation. And that's why they say there's chronic diseases, and that run through the DNAs of certain families, because once something happens, not for the first time, not for the second time, not only for the third time, then you are happy then you are happy with the reality of trying to cure the situation, moving into the next, because if it's lose first leg and draw the second leg 3 times in a row, then of course it can't be accidental.
Yeah. Okay. From talking about, I'm thinking that was your least favorite game of the season.
Yes, away from home for sure. It still haunts me, and it's one that maybe I don't have the right to, but it's one that I personally think that is on me, But as I say, maybe I don't have the right to, because football is a team sport, and we win and lose as a collective for sure at Mamelodi Sundowns. But it's one that is scarred me. But I think there's a lot of takeouts and lessons. But it's expensive school fees, very expensive school fees. But it's school fees nonetheless that we've paid, and hopefully we are better off for it.
From that experience. Okay, coach. From that to, I want to ask you your favorite game of the season, where you thought, nah, this is a masterpiece. This is what we worked on, and this is what we delivered on the day, and it came out the way you dreamt.
There's quite a few, and the number one game that I can watch many times is Maritzburg away from home. We lost 2-1 to Kennedy. We lost 2-1 to the penalty. The goal that Ndengane scored when he elevated himself above
A foul
Tapelo.
and non-penalty.
Yeah. We should not lose that game, but believe you me, if you play like that, every single match in the season, you win more games than you lose. And that game for me was a complete representation of the principles within all the phases of the game that we would think that is how we would like the team to play. Al Ahly home and away was also top performances.
Yeah.
Very close maybe to even. So I would categorize those performances as those three games as games where I thought we were above being very good on the pitch.
Okay. And the game that turned out to be not as like you wanted. I'm thinking about the Royal AM game that we spoke about earlier on.
Yeah. Chiefs. Mm-hmm.
It's funny enough, we won that game 2-0, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think we played well.
We were bad.
I don't think we played well.
We were terrible. We played funny than the football. Funny, we played better against Stellenbosch and lost 3-0. And you look at the stats and the data that you derive from the performance of Stellenbosch, the score should have been 3-0 to us, because the XG of Stellenbosch was less than 0.73 or something. They shouldn't have scored even one. The value from the shots that were taken and from the situations where they scored from, the value was for each of the goals was below even 0.4.
Wow.
And the chances we created on the other side, I mean, we had an XG of 2.36, so to be honest, we should have scored 2 and not conceded anything. But football being football, and the lessons that you get, and then there are games where you win and people say, okay, let's take the victory. But as I said even before, at big clubs, that's too much of a low currency to be able to sell to the people.
To just take the result
to just take the result in a big club is it's too cheap.
Okay. And then one last thing for me, like the part I found so interesting for me personally is the way our fullbacks played last season. I've always wanted to ask you this. Do our fullbacks play more like Man City's, where they come inside in the pitch and then the white players go out, or more like Liverpool, where Trent is on the byline? Oh, but these days he does tuck it a bit. Or Robertson, who's on the byline whipping crosses. Where are we? Because I find what you guys do with fullbacks so interesting. Like whether it be Lyle Cancelo, I call him that, Lyle Cancelo, Mudau, Tapelo when he plays there, Mudiba when he plays at left back. Like, what exactly do you do? Don't give away.
Well,
secrets.
There's no secrets to football, so I don't mind talking about these things because there's no secrets to football. And in fact, the way we use the fullbacks this season might be completely different.
Different. True, there's that.
Because I've already thought, I saw something in Uganda and I'm thinking, wow, this thing we could use this season. But I'm not sure we can use it this season with the same role and responsibilities that we gave to our fullbacks this season.
So could you please elaborate?
But it also depends on the games. But the proof is in the pudding. You've seen Tapelo. Okay, maybe not Tapelo so much, because the goal that Tapelo scored in the final of the Nedbank Cup was as a result of that position, which also gave me like a aha moment, to tell you the truth. And I've discussed it with some of my friends that I'm very close to. I've said to them, the role we give to our fullbacks is maybe 70% orientated towards rest defense. But there does seem to be a lot more potential to grow that responsibility amongst the fullbacks and not maybe have it 70% being rest defense, but maybe even more. Because when you see the goal that Lyle has scored from an inverted position, yeah, you've seen a goal that Mudau has scored from a similar position. You've seen a goal Aubrey Modiba has scored, Sekhukhune, from a similar position. You are then already starting to formulate some form of blueprint as to say, but hang on, if we could get these players to take up these positions for offensive possibilities, there does seem to be something there for us to develop and grow within the frameworks of how we want to play. So already I'm saying to you that there could be changes with regards to that. And maybe that change could be about getting them 5 or 6 meters a little bit closer to the box than 5 or 6 meters closer to the halfway line. So there is that. But the reality is the fundamental responsibility for our fullbacks last season has always been to assist the team offensively, of course, but a big part of that has been on our rest defense to make sure that we are not caught on counterattacks.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting. Thank you so much, Coach. Yeah, I think
it's been a pleasure. Thanks, Tlotlo.
Jesus, do you have 2 more hours?
Yeah, we have the whole day.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you.